I just want to give a little trigger warning. If you struggle with suicidal thoughts or anything like that, I will be sharing my story, and yeah, I just want to give you that heads up. So to start off the podcast, I want to share a little bit of my heart behind the podcast. My heart is to open up conversations about real things and real struggles. I want to disclose and disclaim whatever that I don't have all the answers, I don't know it all, and my heart behind the podcast is to open up conversations and to gain understanding and to gain perspective on other struggles or other views and things that I don't have. So by no means take what I say or things that are said in this podcast as 100% this is how you should think, this is what you should believe. I encourage you to take it back to God and do your own research and do your own seeking the Lord to figure out what you believe and why you believe that. I am so nervous to do this, and I feel like this is probably the most vulnerable I will be on the internet. And I feel like if I'm asking other people to be vulnerable in future podcasts, then I should probably set the stage by being vulnerable and sharing part of my story. I have my friend Jaclyn here with me. She is going to kind of interview me and help me walk through the story and what I want to share with you guys. That's pretty much it. We can just get into it.
Okay. Okay, so I guess let's start out with what was the first instance or age that you dealt with self-harm and suicidal thoughts?
I mean, I think obviously suicidal thoughts come first, and then they lead to doing more about it.
Not about it.
Well, everybody,
Not about it.
Everybody does something about it differently. For me, it was
Okay.
Cutting. Mostly, yeah. I don't know what age this thought started, but I believe my first time cutting and sitting on the floor in my bathroom really wanting to end my life was 16, I think. I think so. It was around that age.
And what was that situation like? What led you to get to the point of suicide? What was the trigger to get you into suicidal thoughts?
I mean, a lot was going on in my life, and with my family, with my personal life, my friendships, the church was I was very hurt by the church. And I knew God was real and stuff, but I was God, I know you're real, but I don't want anything to do with you, because things were so bad. And then my thought process was, I want to escape. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to deal with this. I just want to escape it. And that was just my solution, to escape it. And yeah.
What was the easy target, I say? Not I say, but what was the easiest target for the enemy to use in your suicidal thoughts?
You're alone, nobody cares. Is that what you mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just what was your first initial, not your first initial, but just your thought process when you were dealing with suicidal thoughts. Does that make sense?
I mean, then, I didn't fight it, I guess. I feel I didn't really know much about spiritual warfare and things like that. I knew of it, but I didn't know a whole lot about it. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of I just believed these thoughts to be truth, alone, you have no purpose, you're worthless, like all of those. And it was like, okay, like, yeah.
So like lack of identity, lack of purpose.
Yeah.
What was the way that you got out of it when you were in your younger years? How did you like encounter the Lord?
Yeah. My aunt had invited me and my mom and my sister to this like conference that was at her church. And like God really encountered me like there. And so I was just like, okay, God, like I'm done. Like I want to rededicate my life to you. Like I want to like live in the fullness of what you have for me. And so I just, yeah. And like from there, it wasn't like a, oh, I'm going to quit. It was just like, it wasn't even like a thought I had anymore, really. And then I didn't really like think about it until maybe like, I kind of avoided thinking about it because like there is like so much shame in that, and didn't talk about it to anybody. And then like maybe like a year or two later thinking about it and being like, gosh, like if I would have ended my life there, this, and this would not have happened, and like all of that. And just like, yeah, when I think about that, it's just like, dang, like it's crazy.
God loves you and has purpose for you.
Yeah.
And gives you an identity. Okay, so how long was it from that point until the next point? That you self-harmed or had suicidal thoughts, or was suicidal thoughts like a continual thing? Or
not really. Like I maybe every so often would have a thought, like a suicidal thought, and I would think that's silly, like pfft, that's the enemy, and like would blow it off. But it wouldn't happen often, and it was just kind of like oh, that's weird. Until like, recently.
So what was going on in your world, mental world, physical world, that made you kind of re-trigger back to?
I mean, I think it is hard for me to like talk about it because it is so fresh, and I still am processing and like healing from it. But obviously, like before all of that happened, like before I struggled with it again, was like cutting and all of that, I was really stretched and was like leading mission trips every week with new people. Just like my capacity was stretched so thick. And so I feel like that's just like easier for the enemy whenever you're so busy and like you're doing things and you're doing good things, and to start believing lies. Like one of my biggest things that I recognized that I believed then, like I knew in my head that it was a lie, but in my heart like I believed it as truth, was that like I'm busy, I'm doing good things, I'm working really hard and growing like my capacity and like just doing things that were really out of my comfort zone. And the more I'm doing all of these things, the more loved I am, the more valued I am, the more seen I am, the more purpose I have, and like all of that. And so from that being super full, and then that season coming to an end and not really leading as many teams and not being stretched as much, and like my schedule not being packed to the brim, and like going back and forth and traveling, like all of that, like not having that anymore, and feeling kind of like empty, and feeling kind of like, well, I'm not doing anything, so I must be nothing, and I'm not like busy, I'm not stretching myself, so I'm not valued, I'm not loved, I don't have purpose, I'm all of those same thoughts.
You're putting like your identity in like your physical things you're doing.
Yeah.
How were like your times with the Lord? Like, were they as often as they had been in that season
of busyness? They weren't often, no, because like you're so busy that like they're not, it's like brief moments with the Lord and brief prayers, and it's not like sitting by yourself alone and like talking and reading the Bible. It's more like group settings and like prayer by yourself and just being like, Lord, get me through this.
Yeah, no time to, like, process.
Yeah.
What you're seeing and...
And I think, too, there were times where I thought I was processing, but I really wasn't, like, deeply processing things. Like, I almost kind of, I don't want to say numbed, but kind of numbed myself to, like, go, get the task done. Like, I'm very task-oriented, so it was like, let's go.
Yeah. So let's talk about when everything just came, smacked you in the face.
Yeah.
What was the final, like, just break, cherry on top, last little, put one more thing in the volcano and bloop?
I think, I don't know how to answer that.
Do you feel like there was anything, like, that was just, like, the final, like, top?
I don't know. Like, I remember sitting in my room and, like, again, like, back to, like, the things I know in my head that are truth, but in my heart, like, believing, like, no, like, I am alone. Like, no, nobody cares. No, like, you don't, like, you don't, like, have a place here anymore. Like, you, like, all of those things, like, sitting there and then being like, God, like, if this isn't truth, like, show me the truth, because I believe all of these lies because this backs it up, because this, and this. And, like, the people around me, like, didn't know what I was going through because I didn't let them in. And so, like, even things that weren't intentional, like, I took it as, like, yeah, like, that's confirmation that I'm not, like, valued. That's confirmation that I'm alone. And, like, I remember sitting in my room on the floor and, like, having these thoughts of, like, you know exactly where the scissors are. You know, like, where you can do it, and, like, you can do it and nobody will know. And, like, those types of thoughts. And then, like, I remember, like, all of my roommates being in the living room laughing, and then, like, that just in my head being like, yeah, like, you're alone, like, you're not wanted, like, they're having a ball without you. If you're there, like, you're not, like, you're nothing, like, you would ruin it. And so that was, like, and I could feel, like, God being like, no, like, no, but, like, it almost felt like it wasn't enough, because it was like, no, like, this is truth because of this, and this.
Yeah. You have the, like, proof. There's the proof to back it up in your mind. And nothing's, like, going to be able to change it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what was, like, what made you start to say, what was, like, the event or the thing that started, like, kind of making you crawl out of a hole, or out of that, like, mental hole that you were kind of, like, filtering everything through?
I mean, after I cut for the first time, I felt so much shame, and, like, just, I mean, like, I am in full-time missions. Like, I love the Lord. Like, why am I doing this? Like,
almost like you were going back to, like, before you really, like, set your...
Yeah, like, I was feeling so much shame, too. I was like, nobody can know about this. Like, this is just awful. Like, I hated myself so much for it, too. I was like, gosh. And then, yeah, I don't know, like, I felt like my days, like, I just kind of was empty in my days, like, just getting through them. I feel like mostly, like, you probably, like, I did call somebody and tell them, like, hey, I probably should tell you this so that I don't do it again. And so, like, I briefly said something, but I don't know if that person fully understood what I said.
Did you say what it was?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I cut. And so I just need to tell you that so I don't do it again. And the way they reacted didn't sound like they understood what I said. So, But yeah, I did say that. So like after I said it to that person, I didn't cut again, but I still had struggles and thoughts and like wanting to. But yeah. And so I was like, I can do this, like whatever. Even though I still felt super dead inside each day and like, I don't want to be here. What am I doing? Like, you know, the same feelings. I feel like I'm like talking, like I'm not making sense.
No,
am I making sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I'll kind of go back to the original question.
Yeah, sorry.
So you like told somebody on the phone.
Because I know, like, you tell somebody what you're struggling with.
Like you
bring light. Yeah. And then usually the enemy doesn't have as much of a hold on you. However, whenever that wasn't really bringing it to the light. Especially since in that moment I was like, I don't think this individual knows what I said. But you were obviously noticing that I was acting different and struggling with something. You didn't know what I was struggling with. And like a great friend you are, you pursued me and like pursued me very hard to tell you what I was struggling with. Because I was like, I can't tell you. I will not tell you. You're not going to get this out of me. I will not admit to this and tell you what I'm struggling with. And you weren't taking that for an answer. And so I told you. And I think that was super helpful, even though like that was like so hard. I think that was like really helpful for me to tell you, and then having like your reaction and affirmation and like speaking truth, and then also for you to be like, you need to get help. Like I can't, this isn't enough. Like you need to go and like talk to somebody that has more to give you. And then like having that accountability to be like, did you get help? Like, how are you feeling? Like, you know, when's the last time you cut? Like, are you still struggling with these thoughts? Yeah.
So someone that may be dealing with suicidal thoughts or cutting, I don't know, there's a lot of different other things. I can't think of any right now. Though that's like out of my mind. I don't know why. So someone who's struggling with suicidal thoughts or cutting, depression, anything that the enemy just really likes to use, what would you say would be the most helpful thing for them, like in reality?
Yeah.
When you're in that moment.
Yeah.
I've dealt with depression, but like in that moment, what would you say is the most helpful for them? Is it finding like someone that they can, like a safe place or a safe person that they can confide in? Is it like doing normal tasks to get back to normalcy kind of type thing? Like what is something that's a tangible thing that someone that may be struggling even right now with this that they could do?
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously I don't have all the answers and like everybody's different, but like my advice would be to like go to somebody and like talk to somebody about it. And like as hard as it is, like I totally get it. Like a safe person that you can really trust, because if you don't go to a safe person, then that's just going to ruin you. And if you don't have that, go to a counselor, go to somebody that's like educated and stuff that can be a safe place for you. And that might even be easier to talk to somebody like that because they don't know you like personally. And they can like walk you through that. I think that's like a big thing. If you have friends that are like great, like talk to them and like let them affirm you in like truth. Go to the word, like God can speak to you through the word, and like just dig into it. Put worship music on.
But do you think that like word searches of like specific words like identity or hope or whatever would be helpful? Or like, do you have scriptures or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be helpful. I think sometimes in those moments when you're like in those dark moments where it's it's hard to like accept it and not roll your eyes at that and be like, this is so cliche or whatever. So I think they could be helpful, but I think also even asking the Lord to be like, okay, God, like, this is where I'm at. Like, I'm at the place where, like, I think this is ridiculous, but I want to believe it, and I want to believe it as truth, and I want this to, like, cover me. He is faithful to, like, do that, and so...
What would you say to someone who may have never dealt with this, that could be helpful for someone that has dealt with it, that, like, there being the safe place? What's something that's helpful for that person that might be their safe place but hasn't dealt with it to know how to handle it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna again just like say off of like for me and like what you did for me, and like my personality may not be the same as somebody else's or whatever, like they may need something else, but I feel like generally I don't know why that was so hard for me to say, is like listening, like letting the individual feel heard, and seen, and even affirming that in them, like I see you, like I hear you, validating like their feelings and their emotions, and not like, I think for me, I kept saying like, I feel crazy, like I feel like this is stupid, this is crazy that I feel this, that I want to do this, and like things like that, and like even you saying like you're not crazy, and just like coming back with it with truth and like just affirming me. Yeah, I feel like that was like a big thing, is like you just being like, I love you, I care about you, like you,
these aren't true.
Yeah, even like me feeling like you knowing what I like, that I did self-harm and that I was back doing that, feeling terrified that you were gonna like reject me and like see me differently and like not care, and then seeing that like no, like nothing you can do will make me like not care about you or like love you, was like a really big thing, because like I remember just being like, I don't want to be seen differently, and like even like releasing this video is like super scary, because like I don't want to be seen differently, and I don't want to be rejected or my ministry being less valid because I've struggled with this recently, and still walking through it. But I think affirmation and just truth and speaking it, yeah.
Just for like, because I haven't necessarily dealt with suicidal thoughts or cutting specifically, but dealing with depression, and being in the, I think the best reference for it is being in a dark hole, like, because it literally feels like there's literally no light in depression. I don't know if there's much of a difference with suicidal thoughts. Is there?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's not much of a difference, but maybe there is, and I'm just not aware of it. I feel like that's how I felt. It's a good way to put it. Like, you're in a hole and you feel like just, yeah.
Yeah. I think just like not dealing with that specific thing and not really knowing how to like navigate, Holy Spirit was real tight. And I think I honestly didn't even think about that time when I was like, oh no, you gonna tell me?
Yeah.
Like,
that was
and like I had to come to a place of realizing that you weren't rejecting me. Mm-hmm. You were like scared of being rejected yourself. And so I think even just being willing to like, because I love and honor our relationship, and just, I don't know if you want to put this in here, but just because I love and honor our relationship, I knew something was wrong, and I had to like almost lay aside my fears and like things like that, and I would do it over and over again if I had to, because I knew something was wrong, and I thought I knew what was wrong, and some of that was correct, but just like, I don't know, hearing you vocalize it, I just was like, wow, like, things I thought in my head, like, I don't know, I just honor, like, thank you for being vulnerable with me and being willing to, I don't know, take a risk and, like, share those things, even in the moments of, like, being really scared of being rejected by me. But also, I want you to know that I'm really, really proud of you. And this is incredible, and you're going to make me cry. I think this is so cool, and I think this is going to touch a lot of people, and I don't know, in a weird way, thank you for letting me, like, be a part of not this, but just, like, being a friend and a sister, and, like, allowing me to be a safe place for you in a scary situation. And I'm really, really proud of you for doing what you're doing and being obedient to what God's asking you to do. And there's going to be a lot of people that are changed by this and helpful. I think this is going to help a lot of people. And so I'm excited to see what God does.
Bless the Lord.
Yep.
Thank you for being a safe place and even doing this video with me and, like, just pursuing me and, like, yeah.
If I have to drag you again, I will.
Yikes, in Jesus' name, no.
Like that moment of just like, I know you don't want a hug, but you're going to get a hug from me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
It's really good.
Bless the Lord.
There's freedom and healing and talking about it. Do you feel that?
A little bit. It's still scary that I still have to post this.
Okay,
but yes, there is free, like...
Okay, maybe say that.
I think, too, like, that might be good for people to know, too, like, talking about it, there is, like, healing and freedom.
Like, just taking that step.
Yeah.
Of, like, I'm going to step out and say this out loud to someone who's safe.
Yeah.
And then there comes...
the freedom and healing.
Victory.
I mean, I'm just going to use that.
Okay. Like, when you bring something to the light... It's so often like the enemy wants to hold you in shame, because if he can hold you in shame, he's holding you in darkness. And you're never gonna...
He has like his hand on you when you're in darkness.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier
yeah.
for him to like,
but, like,
tell
if
you lies.
Take a step into the light, then the light takes away the darkness, and then it's easier, and then that's where your freedom and your victory.
And bringing it to light is just talking about it and just being open about it. And the more you talk about it, I feel like the easier it gets to talk about it, and yeah, the more freedom.
So, do you think that then, like, with this whole experience, recent even experience, do you think that the next time you start having suicidal thoughts, you would be a little more apt to saying, hey, I'm really struggling with this right now?
I mean, I think I did recently, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did.
So, like, I went on another missions trip and came back, and it was like copy and paste. The enemy's not creative. Like, same things. Like, the same things. And so, like, I was, like, aware of it, and I was like, we're not going down this thing again. Like, it would have been super easy to. And so, like, easily wanting to, like, isolate. And so, like, being like, no. Like, I'm going to go be with people. I'm not going to isolate myself. And then even, like, talking to you and being like, yeah, so I'm having suicidal thoughts. Like, I don't think I had the necessary desire yet to, like, cut again or anything. But, like, the thoughts were definitely there. And I was like, no. And it's funny because, like, even the thoughts that, like, he puts about my friends that are so not true. Like, literally, it's so dumb. Like, it's like, this is not truth. And then whenever you, like, are around the people and stuff, it's like, yeah, like, that's not truth. Like, you, like, do the opposite of basically what you want to do, and it's not always easy at all. Like, I want to, like, say that it is not easy to, like, when you want to just isolate and be like, yeah, I'm exhausted, or I need, like, to be by myself because I'm an introvert or whatever, and be like, no, like, I'm gonna go be around people, and I'm gonna go, like, have this conversation or go whatever. Or even like telling you again, because that's scary, because then what are you going to think? Are you going to think I'm like cutting again? Or are you going to think like, yeah.
I think too, like,
I'm good at rambling. I'm sorry.
No, I think too, like, even in that of like you telling me that, even just like the first time you told me, it helped me become aware of how you're going to react whenever you have done that, or if you do get to that point, which I pray to God you don't.
I pray to God that I do not either.
But I think like even me knowing how you reacted in the first time, I would be able to recognize quicker, like, oh, this is not a good thing. And I did recognize even just when you came back recently, like, I recognized that I could tell you wanted to not be around people, but you still did it. And so I knew, like, I could see the difference in, like, when you came back the first set of times versus the second. Yeah. So one more question, and this is an easy yes or no, I think, answer. Do you think that it's accurate that your thoughts become feelings which turn into actions?
Yeah, for sure.
So do you think it's beneficial or helpful if someone that started thinking suicidal thoughts to say to someone that's safe to them, hey,
absolutely,
I'm having suicidal thoughts?
Absolutely. Like, if you have not, like, done anything, like, any self-harm, like, and you're having thoughts, like, absolutely, like, don't even, like, let it get further. Like, talk to somebody about it, because that just, like, cuts it off before it even gets, like, worse. For sure. Yeah. Thank you for being here and for interviewing me and just, like, being a part of my life and just being willing to, like, literally just jump up and come, because I was trying to film this by myself, but it was rough. Yeah, if you like this video, be sure to like it and comment and
encourage her.
Share it with your friends if you feel like somebody struggles with this. I don't know. And same with the podcast. I don't even know anything about podcasts yet, so add it. I don't know. Follow me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Bless you.
Cheers!